What is the goal of mindfulness practice?
Sure. So what did you notice while we were sitting still and I was guiding us through just being aware of sitting and what's happening in the body? Were you aware of what was happening?
Yeah.
Were you aware of the difference between when there was thinking that was distracting you or whether there was thinking that was not distracting you, and maybe even some moments where there was no thinking at all? Were you aware of just each of the differences of those things? There you go. You're doing it just perfect. Yeah, you're doing it perfectly well. So mindfulness, I generally don't use the word meditation because many people have these conceptions of meditation as being something maybe strange or foreign to them, or it requires you, good health to you, it requires you to sit in some strange posture or some strange place or something like that, which there's nothing wrong with any of those things. I like to just talk about what we can all relate to. We can all relate to the time when we were about to say something unskillful, we were aware of it, and we decided not to say that. That is being mindful. That is being mindfully self-aware. And actually, there is no difference. That's mindfulness and meditation are essentially synonymous. In fact, many times you hear people refer to the practice as mindfulness meditation. I just tend not to use that word because of the misconceptions that it creates. And part of the reason I don't use it also is that a lot of people think of meditation and they think of a lot of the things that we've talked about already, of really focusing on something, right? And like this strong effort of just focusing on one thing, or trying to clear the mind out, or getting rid of thinking, both of which are very, very difficult to do, very frustrating, and actually don't bear much fruit. So if you have a very skilled teacher to guide you, there can be some times when focusing on an object can be skillful, it can be helpful. I would recommend that if you're not really practicing diligently with a skilled teacher to help you, don't do that. You know, the effort to try to stay focused on one thing is exhausting, and it can actually make you more anxious than before you started. Whereas with mindfulness, it's much more of just really the path and the goal are the same thing. So here's the goal of mindfulness. The goal is to be okay with whatever's happening right now. Is that not total freedom? Like, no matter what happens, no matter how crazy it is in this moment, it's okay. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do that. What I'm saying is that you now have the choice to be okay, if need be. So like, for instance, if there was something crazy happening here and we needed to help somebody, because they were about to be harmed, of course, we do that, right? We take action. But for most of us, even subtle things, like just an email that we get at work can make us angry for 4 hours, right? So we don't have the choice to get that email and be perfectly okay with it. The goal of mindfulness is no matter what arises, if we want to be, we can be perfectly okay with it. And the practice of mindfulness is to actually do that in just little bits at a time. Is just to notice, this is what's here right now. I'm not going to try to fight with it or change it or get rid of it. I'm just going to recognize that this is what's here. And so you're actually building this little muscle that it's not reacting, right? The awareness doesn't react. Awareness just recognizes what's there. There's no judgment, there's no reaction, there's no emotion about it, good or bad. It's just, this is what's here, right? So you're getting little tastes of that. Every time you wake up to mindfulness, you're getting this sense of whatever's here is just fine. I'm just gonna let it be here. And little by little, we start to undo our conditioning, which we're very reactive as humans, right? Things trigger us, whether it's an email at work or something a spouse says or something a neighbor says or Something that happened 10 years ago that just comes up in our memory can trigger an emotion, right? That's a challenging emotion like anger or anxiety. This is just how we're wired, right? So that's all the mind doing its thing. And so what we're gradually doing with this practice, especially, that's why it's helpful to take some time to sit still, is that that's the time when it's most easy to just let everything, there's nothing you have to do. As long as the building's not on fire, no one's shooting at you. If you're just sitting in your house, there's nothing you have to do except just recognize what's there. And so now you're changing this old reactive pattern that we have of everything that comes up, I got to react to it, and there's got to be a judgment or an emotion or whatever, to just, this is what's here. And little by little, as you start to recognize the quality of being that awareness, which allows whatever's there to be there, is inherently peaceful. There's nothing lacking. You'll find that whenever you're resting in that awareness, you're completely fulfilled. That awareness isn't saying like, if we're just sitting in this room, for instance, if we're truly being mindful, we're just sitting here. There's not, but in an hour I'm going to be having pizza, and that would be way better than just sitting here doing nothing, right? That's the mind that does that. Awareness is just, we're just sitting here. What's wrong with this? Is there anything wrong with this moment right now? Nothing, right? Until the mind starts chiming in and saying, but there is something wrong, because it's a little bit loud, and I didn't get a good sleep, and blah, 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 whatever. The mind just creates a mess out of it. And that's just what the mind does. It's perfectly fine. So the practice is to keep coming back to the goal, which is just being aware of what's there, and that awareness is okay with what's there. By definition, that's all it does. It just recognizes what's there.
Hello, my friend, and thank you for taking a minute to check out this video here at the Mindfulness Edge. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Please feel free to leave any questions that you have about the practice down in the comment section below if you think I could be of help. I do my best to answer as many of those questions as I can, and I enjoy helping wherever I can. If you found the video helpful, please feel free to subscribe to this channel to make sure that you never miss any of the videos that we post. And you could also feel free to go ahead and hit that little like button. That will help other people to see this video, and hopefully it will be of help to them as well. And if you like, I have a little gift for you. If you head on over to themindfulnessedge.com, I'd be happy to give you free sample chapters of my book called The Mindfulness Edge. So until next time, I hope you are well.